In a world brimming with changes and tumult, feeling lost, got up to speed in the hurricane of feelings and temporary desires is simple. Once in a while, we could feel like simply one more face in the group. However, somewhere inside, we as a whole need to be valued and appreciated for who we truly are, not only for our looks or what's on a superficial level. In the event that you're searching for ways of getting this going, you're perfectly positioned. Today, we should examine together 10 groundbreaking illustrations from emotionlessness, an immortal way of thinking that has molded the manner in which we think and act. Aloofness shows us how to move toward our associations with persistence, smoothness, and self-restraint. It gives us strong bits of knowledge into framing areas of strength for certifiable with others by consolidating the basic beliefs of regard and confidence. You can turn into a more sure and esteemed individual, somebody who is regarded and respected in each connection. Before we make a plunge, remember to stir things up around town button to help our substance buy into our feed and turn on notices so you never pass up these significant experiences. Presently, we should illuminate the way to an existence of profound importance and enduring bliss. How about we begin? Number 1. Know your actual worth. How does apathy assist us with grasping our value in connections? Stoics train us to zero in on what we have some control over, and fortunately, our self-esteem is totally in our grasp. It's not estimated by likes by a virtual entertainment or whether somebody checks out us. It's about how we view and worth ourselves. Think about it like this. Envision you're an uncommon gemstone. Not every person figures out the worth of an uncommon pearl. Some could stroll by without a subsequent look. Be that as it may, this doesn't make the pearl any less important. It stays special and valuable. Very much like you, your value doesn't diminish, since somebody doesn't see it. We've all confronted dismissal and felt not exactly enough, especially in this present reality where it seems like every other person is great. Be that as it may, here's the scoop from an indifferent perspective. Your worth doesn't rely on others' endorsement. It's attached to how you act, your ethics, and your activities. Is it safe to say that you are benevolent legit? Do you live as per your convictions? That is where your genuine worth untruths. Stoics empower self-reflection, so pause for a minute to contemplate your characteristics, in addition to the surface ones, yet the more profound characteristics. What makes you extraordinary? Might it be said that you, not entirely set in stone, a trustworthy companion? These are the structure blocks of your worth. Furthermore, consider this. At the point when you truly get it and worth these qualities, it changes how you cooperate in connections. You will not endure unfortunate treatment, not for the sake of self-respect, but since you regard yourself. Here is a basic, unemotional activity. The following time you feel underestimated as opposed to questioning yourself, ask what ethics and values do I bring to this present circumstance. Help yourself to remember these characteristics. There's actually no need to focus on bragging. It's tied in with consoling yourself of your worth, autonomous of outside endorsement. As Marcus Aurelius, a popular indifferent head, said, you have command over your brain, not outside occasions. Understand this and you will track down strength in connections. It's tied in with finding strength in your own worth, your self-esteem, whether or not others see it or not. Keep in mind, perceiving your value is certainly not a one-time thing. It's a continuous excursion, a training that creates over the long run. It includes awakening every day and helping yourself to remember your worth, not as a result of others' thought process, but sense of the intrinsic characteristics that characterize you. Number 2, dominating nonverbal correspondence. Aloofness isn't tied in with being edgy or dull. It shows us poise and versatility. Zeroing in on the main thing without rushing to part with it. In a universe of moment delight and unending looking over, emotionlessness offers a reviving delay. Think about this in connections, or while meeting another person. There's in many cases a race to share everything, our time, space, and most profound considerations. Be that as it may, Stoics suggest a more estimated approach. Why? Since when something is dependably free, it loses its charm, its human instinct. Assuming that you're continually available and pleasing, where's the interest? The secret, the expectation? Presently, how about we examine how to define limits with polish, the indifferent way. It begins with how you introduce yourself dressing great, yet essentially isn't just about appearance. It communicates something specific of self-confidence. You're not concealing yourself, but rather you're additionally not spreading everything out at the same time. It's about balance. Proposing there's something else to me besides what might be expected. Dealing with your time and consideration is one more key angle in our consistently on world. Selecting cautiously who gets your time is a strong assertion. There's no need to focus on putting on a show. It's tied in with saying, my time is significant and I oversee it with care. At the point when you're with somebody, intently focus on them. Yet when you're not, it's completely fine to zero in on your own life, your interests, and self-awareness. Emotionlessness additionally shows us close to home control. It doesn't mean being brutal or unapproachable. Rather, it's tied in with keeping a fair view. This includes not allowing the little stuff to lose you your game. It's tied in with keeping up with your internal quiet and not passing out your profound energy to simply anybody. It's something individuals ought to acquire, very much like your time and consideration. I'm not recommending that you become dispassionate or far off like a sculpture. We as a whole are human, and profound associations are vital for a remunerating life. In any case, there's genuine worth in taking things gradually, in building connections that aren't just about moment fulfillment, yet are profound and enduring, offering something other than handy solutions. Recollect, defining limits isn't tied in with messing around or controlling situations. It's about dignity and remaining consistent with your qualities. It's tied in with appearing, not simply telling that you esteem yourself and merit regard. Number 3, conduct yourself with satisfaction. Before you picture an indifferent as a dismal, serious figure from old history, allow me to explain something. Aloofness isn't tied in with concealing your feelings or being impassive. It's tied in with concluding what merits your energy and what isn't. Furthermore, one thing that certainly justifies your consideration is the way you introduce yourself. So we should jump into carrying yourself with satisfaction in connections. At any point, slice yourself twisting around in reverse to dazzle somebody, just to acknowledge you've wandered from your actual self. You could change how you dress or modify your discourse for a thumbs up. In any case, here's reality. Your confidence shouldn't rely upon your style or the hip spots you visit. It's about your activities, your choices, how you introduce yourself. Envision a situation two partners are entrusted with driving a gathering. One attempts to rule the room, continually intruding on and pushing striking, showy thoughts absent a lot of substance. The other talks less, however, with clearness and truthfulness, proposing thoroughly examined suggestions and regarding others' feedback. Who has a more critical and deferential effect? Normally, the individual remaining parts true and made. This outlines the significance of introducing yourself with nobility, a rule exceptionally esteemed in emotionlessness, which advances restraint and ideals. In the present dating scene, the example continues as before. Simply act naturally. Love books. Show it. Energetic about a side interest. Spread the word. There's no need to focus on making an exterior. It's tied in with being agreeable and sure about what your identity is, perceiving your own values similarly as you are. Another central issue is the way you treat yourself. The manner in which you respect yourself starts a trend for how others will treat you. Consistent self-analysis infers it's acceptable for others to condemn you as well. Notwithstanding, when you respect yourself, esteeming your time, energy, and feelings, you send areas of strength for A. I merit regard, and I hope to be dealt with likewise. Consider the expressions of Epictetus, a savvy, indifferent logician. It's not what befalls you, yet the way in which you respond to it that is important. In connections, it's not exclusively about your appearance or what you say. It's about your responses, how you handle different circumstances. Is it true that you are responding out of urgency or with nobility? Do you think twice about standards to fit in, or do you remain consistent with yourself, regardless of whether it implies remaining solitary? Flawlessness isn't the objective here. We as a whole remain flawed and off-kilter minutes. What counts is the way you deal with these times. Do you go to pieces under tension, or do you remain steadfast, learn and push ahead? How about we consider how we can begin to exhibit greater respect in our regular routines? This could mean putting clear limits or turning down things that don't line up with our qualities. Maybe it includes treating ourselves with additional sympathy and regard by survey yourself as somebody meriting regard. You urge others to see you in a similar light. Number 4, the force of saying no. In aloofness, sticking to your standards and daring to be consistent with yourself are central, particularly when it includes saying no. In connections, it's tied in with being sure about your qualities and reliably maintaining them, regardless of whether it could mix some distress. Envision you're in a circumstance where your accomplice recommends something that doesn't line up with your usual range of familiarity. Perhaps it's moving quicker than you'd like or something that contentions with your ethical compass. The simple course may be to concur, yet that is the point at which your indifferent lessons truly need to apply. Saying no, in such cases, is your very own confirmation values and limits. This is certainly not a basic errand. It tends to be especially difficult when you have unmistakable inclinations for somebody. You could stress, consider the possibility that my refusal drives them away. However, this is the second to tackle your unemotional courage. Aloofness isn't just about overseeing outer tensions. It's additionally about going up against our struggles under the surface. Saying no is a demonstration of sense of pride. It shows that you esteem yourself enough not to think twice about what makes the biggest difference to you. Certainly, there's a gamble included. The relationship could endure. Notwithstanding, think about this: assuming standing firm on your qualities brings about somebody floating away. Maybe they weren't the most ideal fit for you, all things considered. Adopting this strategy can decisively move the elements inside a relationship. At the point when your accomplice perceives that you are sufficiently sure to say no and that you don't twist your standards to satisfy others, it changes how they view you. It imparts that you have self-esteem and that you regard yourself. What's more, that is profoundly convincing. There's something else to it according to an unemotional point of view. Saying no isn't just about defining limits with others, yet in addition about being honest with yourself. It implies recognizing your actual necessities and wants in a relationship and not compromising them out of dread of dejection. How about we stop and consider this example? Stating your entitlement to say no is urgent. It's tied in with keeping up with realness and respectability, as the Stoics would prompt. About building connections are established in regard and genuine association, not simply accommodation or feeling of dread toward being separated from everyone else. Number 5, activities convey more weight than words. As we dive further into emotionlessness, we discover that everything unquestionably revolves around useful insight. This implies assessing individuals more by their activities than by their words. In our regular associations, especially in connections, it's generally expected to experience individuals who talk a decent game, however neglect to see everything through to completion. Stoics train us to look past beguiling words and spotlight on substantial activities. Considerate. It's simple for somebody to direct the appropriate sentiments toward make commitments and illustrate what's in store. Be that as it may, do their activities uphold their words? That is where you track down the genuine story. We've all been there, haven't we? Somebody deeply inspires us with delightful words and terrific commitments. Nonetheless, over the long haul, we see they don't circle back to their words. They say they'll call, yet never do. They make arrangements and drop. This is the point at which we want to channel our internal indifferent apathy. Teaches us not to get snatched up by smooth talk or overpowered by our feelings. It urges us to stay coherent and see things as they genuinely are. On the off chance that somebody's activities don't match their words, accept it as a warning, a sign from the universe to focus. Taking on this attitude changes how you oversee connections. You begin to see the better subtleties. How does this individual demonstration when circumstances become difficult? Do they stay true to their obligations? Might it be said that they are genuinely there for you? With words, however, with activities that count. This intriguing. At the point when you center around individuals' activities as opposed to their words, you set a norm.